What if I told you that almost everything you've ever been taught about happiness is wrong? That the chase through money, success, even love might actually be the very thing keeping true joy out of reach? You see, for most of our lives, we're given a script. Work harder, buy more, climb higher, and one day you'll be happy. But here's the secret nobody tells you. Happiness doesn't wait at the top of the ladder. It shows up in places we rarely notice. In the next few minutes, you're going to discover 7 psychological truths about happiness, all backed by science, all grounded in real human experience. And I can promise you this, at least one of them will change the way you see your life. But before we dive in, let me ask you, when was the last time you felt truly alive? Not just fine, not just okay, but that deep, glowing happiness that seemed to light you from the inside out. Picture it. Hold on to it for a second. Now here's the question. How long did that feeling last? Because if you're like most people, it probably faded faster than you wanted. And that's not your fault. It's your brain's design. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain. We'll uncover why happiness slips away, where it hides, and how you can bring more of it into your everyday life without waiting for the next promotion, the next purchase, or the next big change. Ready? Let's begin.
Let me share something I wish I had learned earlier in life. So many of us spend years chasing after that one missing piece. We tell ourselves, if I could just make more money, I'd finally breathe easier. Or if I moved to that sunnier state, life would finally feel right. Maybe you've thought, if I looked a little younger, a little fitter, then I'd finally be happy. But here's the truth, spoken by Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman. Nothing in life is as important as you think it is while you are thinking about it. And the older I get, the more I realize how right he was. Think about it. That dream job you once longed for, remember the day you got it? At first, it felt incredible. You might have even celebrated with family or friends. But 6 months later, it became just your job. The move to a perfect city, after a while, traffic, bills, and stress followed you there. Even the bigger house, once so exciting, soon became another space to clean and maintain. Why does this happen? Because our minds trick us. We zoom in on one factor and convince ourselves it will change everything. But life is never just one factor. It's the whole picture. The laughter with your kids, the smell of your morning coffee, the friend who still calls to check in. So here's my challenge to you. The next time your mind whispers, "If only I had this, then I'd be happy," pause, take a step back, zoom out. Ask yourself, what's already working right now? What am I overlooking? Because often, the happiness we're searching for isn't waiting in some future upgrade. It's already here, hidden in plain sight. And maybe, just maybe, today you don't need to move, buy, or change a thing. You just need to notice.
You know, as I look back, some of my happiest seasons in life didn't come when I had the most money or the biggest achievements. They came in the quiet moments, when I simply noticed what I already had. And science now tells us that's not just sentiment, that's brain chemistry. Here's the truth. Practicing gratitude actually rewires your brain. When you take a moment each day to write down 3 good things or even say a simple thank you to someone, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, the very same chemicals that lift your mood and steady your nerves. It's like giving your mind a daily vitamin shot of joy. But here's where it gets powerful. Gratitude shifts your focus. Instead of living in that endless loop of what's missing, what's next, what's broken, you start noticing what's already working. The hot coffee on a cold morning, the grandchild's laugh echoing through the house, the text from a friend just checking in. These aren't small things. They're the building blocks of a life that feels full. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you paused and thought, wow, I'm lucky to have this moment? Not when something big happened, but right in the middle of an ordinary day. Most of us rush past those moments. Gratitude is about catching them before they slip away. And over time, something remarkable happens. That simple habit, writing it down, saying it out loud, creates a sense of abundance that sticks. You stop chasing happiness out there in the distance, and you start living it right here, right now. So tonight, before you go to bed, try this. Write down 3 things that went well today. Don't overthink it, just 3. And see how your heart feels lighter. It's such a small step, but it's the kind of step that can change the whole direction of your life.
Have you ever noticed how the shine wears off faster than you expect? That brand new car you were so proud of, it smelled amazing, it turned heads, it made you feel alive. But a few months later, it's just the car you drive to the grocery store. Or that promotion at work, you celebrated, maybe popped a bottle of champagne, felt like life had finally turned a corner. And yet, 6 months later, it's back to the same meetings, the same stress, the same Monday mornings. Even falling in love, as thrilling as it feels in the beginning, eventually settles into routine. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. And here's the simple truth. Our brains are wired to adapt. No matter how high we climb, no matter how big the win, our happiness usually slides back to its baseline. In fact, studies on lottery winners, people who went from ordinary paychecks to millions overnight, found that within 6 to 12 months, most of them were no happier than before. Can you believe that? Millions of dollars and still baseline. Why does this happen? Because our ancestors weren't built for lasting euphoria. Evolution rewarded restlessness. It wanted us to keep looking for food, for shelter, for safety. Constant happiness wasn't the goal. Survival was. But here's where we get a choice. When you know the treadmill is running, you stop expecting each achievement to deliver permanent joy. You stop saying, once I get this, then I'll be happy. Instead, you start to savor. You let yourself enjoy the small moments fully before your brain has the chance to normalize them. So the next time life gives you something good, don't rush past it. Pause. Breathe it in. Celebrate it longer than you think you should. Because the truth is, the joy isn't meant to last forever. It's meant to be noticed. And when you notice it, really notice it, that's when happiness finally stops running away.
Let me tell you something powerful that most people overlook. Tiny moments of joy can completely change the way your brain works. Psychologist Barbara Fredrickson found that even the smallest bursts of positive emotion, like laughter, curiosity, or gratitude, don't just feel good in the moment, they actually expand your mind. Here's what I mean. When you're stressed, angry, or afraid, your brain narrows. You get tunnel vision. You focus only on the problem in front of you. That's survival mode.
fight, flight, or freeze. But the moment you feel joy, maybe a smile from your grandchild, the warmth of the sun on your face, or even a funny video that makes you chuckle, your brain opens up. You become more creative. You connect more deeply with others. You're willing to try new things. And from that single spark, you start building skills, relationships, confidence. That's the build part of the theory. Fredrickson calls it an upward spiral. One good moment makes the next good moment easier. And before you know it, your days feel lighter. Not because the problems disappeared, but because your perspective changed. So, how do you put this into practice? Try something simple tonight. Before you go to bed, write down 3 things that went well today. Don't wait for perfect. It could be as small as, I enjoyed my coffee, I had a nice conversation, or the sky looked beautiful before sunset. Over time, this trains your brain to scan for what's good instead of just what's wrong. And here's the best part. You don't need a perfect day to feel happy. You just need a good moment and the awareness to notice it. Because those little sparks, they build a fire strong enough to carry you through the darkest seasons.
Have you ever gone through something that you thought would change your life forever? Maybe you lost your job and felt like you'd never get back on your feet. Maybe someone you loved walked away and you thought the pain would never fade. Or on the other side, maybe you finally hit a big milestone, bought the house, retired early, or even came into unexpected money, and you thought, this is it, I'll be happy forever. But here's the thing, both the highs and the lows fade faster than we expect. Psychologists call this adaptation neglect. We overestimate how long events will shape our happiness. The truth is, human beings are far more resilient and far more forgetful than we give ourselves credit for. Think about heartbreak. At first, it feels unbearable. You can't sleep, can't eat, can't imagine moving on. But give it time, and slowly you heal. You laugh again, you build new routines, you even open your heart again. The same happens in reverse. That shiny new achievement, sooner than you think, it becomes your new normal. What does this mean for us? It means that long-term happiness isn't locked inside those big events we obsess over. It's not about avoiding every hardship or clinging to every high. It's about how we respond in between, how we choose to adapt. So the next time life throws you a curveball or hands you a gift, remember, neither the pain nor the joy will last forever in its raw form. But you will last. Your strength, your ability to rebuild, your willingness to notice the good right where you are, that's what carries you forward. And maybe that's the quiet gift hidden inside adaptation. Life will change, but so will you. And that's enough.
If there's one lesson I wish I could hand to my younger self, it's this. Happiness has very little to do with what's in your bank account, and everything to do with who sits across the table from you. The longest-running study on happiness out of Harvard has been following people for over 80 years, and after decades of research, the conclusion couldn't be clearer. What makes life truly good isn't money, isn't fame, isn't success, it's relationships. The people who had strong, supportive connections, not necessarily perfect ones, but meaningful ones, were healthier, lived longer, and reported higher life satisfaction. And there's a reason for that. When we feel close to others, our brains release oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin, the chemicals that calm stress and lift our mood.
They don't just make you feel good, they actually strengthen your immune system and protect your body against disease. Connection doesn't just make life sweeter, it makes life longer. But here's the other side. Loneliness isn't just sad, it's deadly. Studies show that chronic loneliness is as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It raises your risk of heart disease, depression, even dementia. And in today's world, where we're more connected online than ever before, too many people are quietly feeling alone. So let me ask you this. Who's that one person you haven't called in a while? That old friend, that sibling, maybe even your grown child. What would happen if you reached out tonight just to say, "Hey, I was thinking about you"? Because at the end of the day, happiness isn't about the car in the driveway or the numbers in your account. It's about knowing there's someone you can laugh with, cry with, sit with, and be fully yourself. That's the kind of wealth no one can take away.
Here's a truth that feels almost backwards. The harder you chase happiness, the further it seems to slip away. Think about it. The moment you make being happy your main goal, you put yourself under pressure. You start asking, why don't I feel happy yet? What's wrong with me? I'm doing the meditation, the journaling, the self-help books, so why isn't it working? And that very pressure steals the joy you're chasing. It's like lying in bed at night, telling yourself, I have to fall asleep right now. The harder you try, the more awake you stay. Research backs this up. Studies show that people who set happiness as their #1 goal often report feeling less happy than those who don't. Why? Because happiness doesn't like being cornered. It doesn't show up when you demand it. The happiest people I know aren't chasing happiness at all. They're chasing meaning. They pour themselves into relationships, into projects that matter, into growth and contribution. They focus on living fully, not on feeling good every second. And somewhere along the way, happiness sneaks in, quietly, like an uninvited guest who walks in while no one's watching the door. So maybe the question isn't, how can I be happy? Maybe it's, what's worth giving myself to? Who can I love? Where can I serve? What's the next meaningful step I can take? Because when you live with purpose, happiness doesn't need chasing. It finds you. And when it does, it doesn't feel forced or fleeting. It feels like peace.
So, after all this, what have we really learned? Happiness fades when we adapt. That new job, that new car, even that new relationship, our brains eventually normalize it. Happiness grows when we connect. A phone call, a laugh, a warm hug, those are the moments that last in our hearts. Happiness hides when we chase it too hard. The more we demand it, the quicker it slips through our fingers. But happiness blossoms when we make small, daily choices: gratitude, presence, connection, resilience. And maybe right now, your life feels heavy, or maybe it just feels ordinary. And that's okay. You don't need to fix everything today. You don't need some giant breakthrough. What you need is just the next small, meaningful step. Call someone you care about. Write down one thing you're grateful for. Sit with your coffee and really taste it. Because happiness isn't waiting at the finish line. hiding in some perfect future. It's here, woven into the ordinary, hidden in the moments you choose to notice. And if what I've shared today resonated with you, do me a favor. Share this with someone who might need the reminder. Sometimes the best gift we can give is not advice, but perspective. And hey, don't forget to subscribe, because this isn't just about watching videos. It's about building a community, a place where we think deeper, grow wiser, and remind each other what truly matters. Take care of yourself. And remember this, you're not behind, you're not late, you're just getting started.